Welcome! I'm Chelsea, and this is Roger, and we are going to be doing Crazy Ex Podcast, Return to West Covina, our Crazy Ex-Girlfriend podcast. You may have heard us on Twice Upon a Time, our Once Upon a Time rewatch podcast. If you are not familiar with the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, it was a CW show that was on from 2015 to 2019. It has 4 seasons. Brainchild of Rachel Bloom, who also plays the main character in the show, and Alina Brosh McKenna. It's an American musical comedy drama, which is a mouthful.
It's listed as romance on IMDb.
Yeah, I would say that too, sure. And it is actually award-winning. It won several Emmys and Golden Globes during its time. But it was always one of those kind of like little fledgling shows, very popular among some, not like a huge hit.
Like a cult following.
I found the show. Roger and I have a friend, Darcy, and at one point in time, this TV show was Darcy's obsession, and she wouldn't stop talking about it, so I watched it.
Huh, that must be weird to deal with.
She was right. I love musicals. There's no reason that I wouldn't like this show. It's great. And Roger, what brings you here today?
It's funny you talk about friends who won't stop talking about it. Excellent segue, because our mutual friends Jesse and Darcy and you will reference this, and let me make sure I state this value correctly, 1,000% of the time. So regardless of what we are doing, much like I use sports analogies, they will use Crazy Ex-Girlfriend analogies, typically a song.
Did you know that there's a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend song for that?
Yes. I specifically chose sports analogies because I've heard you sing the song Sports Analogies enough that it actually sticks in my brain. So I've heard them sing it enough, and they've talked about how they wanted me to watch it, because I have never seen this. This is the first episode I've ever watched, so I finally decided to, all right, let's sit down and podcast with this. So I am brand new to this. First time I've ever seen it.
This is my 3rd time through. I think I watched it for the first time in 2019, so before it even finished, I think. And then I watched it again during the pandemic.
So much like Once Upon a Time, you came in during the middle.
Yes.
Okay.
I started from
Sure,
the
but you started while it was a running TV show.
And for those who have not listened to our Twice Upon a Time podcast, I will do my best to keep the spoiler free. Roger obviously does not know what's going to happen at all.
I don't know how I can spoil it, because I don't know.
I mean, I have referenced future songs that are coming. Sometimes we might reference things, but I'll do my best not to spoil any big things. And we'll go through episode by episode. So we're going to start with episode 1 today. And usually we start off with a synopsis, which is where I'm going to go today. So you can watch along with us. If you've already watched the whole thing, you might enjoy just listening to the podcast as we go.
And for reference, this serves as our pilot.
Yes, this is our pilot.
There was no backdoor pilot from a different show. This is just a brand new concept.
I do not think this was a backdoor pilot. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I have read, Rachel Bloom has a book called I Want to Be Where the Normal People Are. And I heard a lot of backstory about the show during that. Okay, so after a 16-year-old Rebecca Bunch professes her love to Josh Chan at theater camp, he dumps her. 10 years later, in New York, Roger is just cracking up already.
I love you, and thanks for that. I was in tears. That's like the Star Wars quote where it's like, I love you, I know. But like worse.
It's so much worse.
It's so much worse.
10 years later, in New York, Rebecca is about to be promoted to junior partner at her law firm, but she's plagued by unhappiness, anxiety, and a butter ad. When was the last time you were happy? She bumps into Josh on the street, who is moving back to his hometown of West Covina, California, where he says people are just happy. Rebecca's inspired, quits her job, and moves to West Covina, where she starts working at White Feather and Associates for Daryl, and meets Paula, who is suspicious for her motives for moving to West Covina. When Josh doesn't return her text, she tries to track him down at home base, where she meets Josh's high school friend Greg. She agrees to go on a date with Greg, so she might have a chance to see Josh at the party they're going to. When Greg reveals that Josh has a girlfriend, and Paula shows up accusing Rebecca of moving to West Covina because she's in love with Josh, Rebecca realizes she just might have, and maybe she's crazy? Roger, What do you think of this episode?
I have questions.
Okay.
Is Rebecca a bad person?
I would say a big theme of this show is that everyone is a flawed person.
Okay. Okay.
I do not think that Rebecca is a bad person, but I think that Rebecca is often a very selfish person, but her intentions are usually good. Which intentions are sometimes meaningless.
As Regina would say, intent is meaningless. Because I think at the beginning of it, she felt very sympathetic. Mm-hmm. You definitely feel bad for her. Obviously, the 10-year, like, they're kids, and that pairing was kind of funny, because, like, he feels like you're, like, jock bro, and she's, like, theater nerd.
I know, and he's at theater camp for some reason.
What? Like, I don't know. I know guys like that. I went to high school with guys like that. They don't go to theater camp.
Josh has layers.
Sure. I know that hot guys have problems too. But that
Fit hot guys.
Fit hot guys have problems too. But theater camp? Okay. And then, like, I think they do a good job of setting up how miserable she is, despite the fact that, I will say, I'm going to cut my own self off, this felt like the plot to every bad Lifetime movie I've ever been told. Big inner city girl, hates her job, decides to move back to the country, and finds her true love, who somehow makes a living chopping wood.
Which in many ways, I mean, this show is a satire of many things. It is a satire of musical genres. Mm-hmm. It is a satire of romantic comedies. Mm-hmm. It is a satire of dramas. Mm-hmm. It is a satire of CW shows.
And it's doing a great job of satirizing all of those genres.
Yes.
So, like, that part, I really liked. I was like, oh, sympathetic character, kind of an interesting premise. Then things get a little sideways. Like, okay, you decide to leave your job. Now, it's framed as she left for Josh, but she was miserable, it sounds like. Like, legitimately, she couldn't remember the last time she was happy. But when we get to West Covina, the train gets off the tracks, I feel like. And then that's where my question is, like, is she just a bad person? That's where I got that question from. Because her actions don't feel very good in this episode.
Well, Roger, I've got some good news for you. I think you're going to like that the character growth in this show does not just focus on Rebecca.
Wait, are you telling me that you can have character growth that just doesn't focus on your main character?
You can?
I don't accept this. Well, that's good. Also, she threw the pills away. What were the pills for?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Because if you suffer from, I don't know, anything that requires you to take pills, typically, you can't just decide you're going to stop taking your medication. There's a reason they gave you the medication. Mm-hmm. Speaking of why you might be taking the pills, the songs happen in her head.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's typically two types of musicals, and most musicals are what we are watching, mm-hmm. where it's like, the music is not real, like, it's like kind of happening in someone's head, or it's like for us as the audience to be understanding something.
It's exposition via a number.
Yeah. There will be a variety of different types of songs in the show, but for the most part, they are, like, it's not real. Like, they are not actually dancing on the street.
This is you've never watched Scrubs, but, like, Scrubs would do cutaways like this.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden it would flash to a different scene and some wild zany stuff. Okay, so it's that, though. It's not, like, actually part of the plot. It's just for the audience. It's like a fourth wall break.
Yeah, although oftentimes some of the things that happen in the songs are, like imagine, like, someone's having a conversation and Rebecca's imagining that the conversation is a song. So, like, sometimes the things that happen in the song are real, mm-hmm. and sometimes they're, like, a dream or, like, in her imagination.
Interesting.
For example, at the end of the episode, when both she and Paula are singing, Rebecca seems surprised that Paula starts singing with her. And it's really about the fact that they're kind of, like, jiving on the same level of crazy. So they're having a conversation, and we're hearing it as a song because Rebecca's imagining it as a song. But they're not actually singing to each other, if that makes sense.
It does, but that was not clear to me, because that was one of my next questions. Like, was Paula really singing with her?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the music only is happening in Rebecca's head.
Yes.
So she's actually crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I think they did a good job of setting up the side characters. I don't remember the boss's name other than Chief.
Daryl Whitefeather. He changed his last name to Whitefeather.
I think that is one of the best representations of appropriation that I've ever seen on television. Like, oh, this is a white boy who thinks he's native. Oh, I'm 1/8, but because your grandma drives a Cherokee, you think
he's what we call a 1/8.
He's what we call a colonizer.
Yeah. He even uses the colonized word of Ojibwa, which is Chippewa.
Yeah. I think he also wants them to call him Chief.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I was worried that we were going to watch this, and my first thought was, oh, good God, what the hell have you gotten me into? Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I was surprised how few songs there were in this episode. There's only 2, and then there's a reprise at the end of the first song.
I kind of appreciated that, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I think 3 songs is... I mean, maybe that won't bother me much, but I think for a pilot episode, you probably need to do less singing and more explaining.
Yeah. But sometimes songs explain. I mean, that's what musicals are.
Fair. Fair. Where should we start?
Yeah, this is kind of new territory for us.
I guess we start in New York. That seems like that's our flashback. Well, I guess we should start actually in the flashback.
In the flashback? Yeah, that was harsh, man.
Bro, okay. When we talk about, like, savage lines, I don't know what could be worse than, I love you. Yeah, thanks for that.
The way that they set up that flashback is brilliant. Like, you learn so much about so many characters in that moment.
Yep.
Josh is clearly, like, and maybe, it's hard to say, but we learn later that the girlfriend that he now has was his high school girlfriend, and they're 16 in this flashback. So maybe he wasn't dating
He could have
anyone,
just met her at the next year's camp.
Or they broke up for the summer, like, whatever. But he was looking for a summer fling, it seems like, and he's not interested in continuing.
Well, I don't know that he was looking for a summer fling. I think he just thought she was fucking weird. Because she says that. You're really dramatic.
Yeah, that's true. But they also had sex.
Yeah.
It seemed like for the first time, for her, at least.
Yeah. She also got super clingy.
Yep. No, absolutely.
So...
I mean, she started talking about how they were going to long distance their relationship. And he, on the opposite side of that spectrum, like, there's, like, super clingy, and then also, like, they never spoke again. Like, they didn't write letters or text, like, nothing. I guess there was no texting, probably.
What year was it?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
2005?
Yeah, I guess maybe there was texting.
It wasn't everywhere in 2005. I'm old enough, sadly, to remember that. Yeah, 2005, so it wasn't texting all the time.
And her interactions with her mother during that exchange. Like, her mom's honking, and she's just like, shut up, Mom! And then she calls her a stupid bitch. And then when she gets in the car and her mom talks about the abortionist, my God.
White people have such interesting relationships with their mothers. Do you know what I've never said to my mother? Shut up, you stupid bitch. I actually got a chill down my spine, and I'm almost 40. Right now, even just saying that, because I'm worried my phone's going to ring, and she's going to, what the fuck did you just say to me? I don't think we ever got, not in this lifetime.
Oh, we should have said that we will be swearing during this podcast.
Oh, yeah, this is a swear-positive podcast,
yes.
Just letting you know.
And if you watch the show, which you can watch on Apple TV, no, you have to buy it. You have to buy it currently, which is very frustrating.
And on Prime, and it wasn't on Hulu. How strange.
No. It was on network TV, so there's some swearing, but, like, minorly so. I would say the show has very adult themes, though.
Yes.
And you can listen to the explicit versions of most of the songs and hear the swearing if you would like. We will do that in many cases.
Because they bleeped Nipsey Hussle.
Yes, they did.
Because he dropped an F-bomb, which CW apparently was not going to let you get away with.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Yeah, the relationship with Rebecca and her mother is very... It feels very Jewish stereotypical, overbearing Jewish mother. Like, even when they cut to, like, 2015... She's, like, on the phone with her, like, oh, you're ready for this? It's more like you can't just, like, butt out of her life for, like, a half a second. Do we ever meet the mom? Or
yes.
Okay, so this isn't like, have you watched Big Bang Theory? You remember, like, Holowitz? His mom was always just a voice. We never meet her. We just always hear her as, like, a disembodied voice.
Yeah, no, yeah. And it's the same person.
The whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Huh, interesting.
Even the voice from here. I mean, they probably used a different actress there. She was supposed to be younger, but you don't even see her face.
Where did the statement, we have to go see the abortionist, what prompted that?
I imagine that dramatic Rebecca told her mother that she fell in, like, she wrote her letters or something, or called her at camp and told her she fell in love with some wonderful boy, and her mom assumed that they were doing it. Or maybe Rebecca told her, I don't know.
Did people write letters in 2005?
Phone calls, I guess. Emails, whatever.
Huh.
It's camp. I don't know.
I don't know. I never went to camp.
Went to band camp, but that's different. It's not like a Jewish summer camp. Theater camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're in New York. And yeah, you're right. Rebecca seems... she's like a very sympathetic person at this point.
Absolutely.
Like, she seems beaten down by her work. She doesn't sleep. She takes so much medication. And she's so distracted by that. When was the last time you were truly happy? Butter ad.
It's also kind of fascinating that she is basically miserable, on medication, completely checked out, and is by far the best lawyer. It's basically mocking the fact that, like, yeah, you want to get ahead, this is what you have to sacrifice. Everything else.
Yeah. Apparently she made $545,000 a year.
No, she would have made $545,000.
Okay, as a partner, as a junior partner.
Yeah. I think they even, like, when they were complimenting her, they even said, like, yeah, you work 24/7.
You're never sick.
You never take a sick day. Not that you're never sick, you never take a sick day. It's like, oh, you've thrown your life away to make her mom happy.
Mm-hmm. She went to Harvard and Yale.
Why? Aren't they rivals? I mean, I don't pay attention to the Ivy League because their sports are doo-doo, but like I'm pretty sure they're rivals.
Well, yeah, but she probably went to undergrad for one, law school for the other, and when you apply for law school and you get into an Ivy League, you might not get into all of them, so you go to whichever one you can.
I mean, I know nothing about the Ivy League, but like if you go to Harvard, wouldn't you then have like an inside to Harvard Law?
Maybe.
Or vice versa, right? Like Yale. I just didn't think there was crossover like that.
Yeah.
But...
I loved when she said, "Dear God, I don't pray to you because I believe in science." And you said, that sounds like you.
That may be the only line that rivals Better Than Magic books. Like now when I think of what lines describe Chelsea, it is, I don't pray to you because I believe in science and that books are better than magic. I'm going to etch that on your tombstone, assuming I don't die before you. Just letting you know. That
aligns with the thing that I often say. You know how people say, I'll pray for you when something goes wrong. And there's like nothing really to say. Like, I'll be thinking of you, I guess. But I often say, I'll trust in science to see you through this.
What you should respond with is, and thanks for that.
Not when people say it to me. But when I feel like I need to say something along the lines of, I'll pray for you.
You don't need to say, I'll keep you in my thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I don't know. But that also just doesn't feel like anything.
It's not anything ever. It's just a thing people say to make people feel better. Like, yeah.
It would be more comforting to me if someone reminded me that doctors are scientists and they're going to fix it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, New York was an interesting... So things went off the rails, in my opinion... Because, like, at some point, then there was the sign. That's in her head, right? There's, like, a thing that was, like, an arrow that points down at some point.
It could have been in her head. The lighting implied that it was. Yeah. But it also...
And it made a sound. It was like, ding! And it was like,
yeah.
Pointing.
I mean, the ding certainly was in her head.
Yeah.
But it also could be some, like, weird coincidence that she's reading into.
Well, because there was, like, a choir thing that kept happening. And it kept saying, I'm in love. Or,
yeah.
Like, it was
the song that they were singing at the theater camp at the beginning.
Oh, that's what that was from. Okay.
Because I think she was remembering... I actually think the flashback, while it's meant to establish something, I think she was having a dream about a time she was happy.
That was the last time she was happy.
Yeah.
So, but how did she spot him?
I mean, the arrow made her look down, and she saw him on the street. And then she chased him down.
Well, ignoring that, New York is not exactly what we'd call a desolate city. It's a rat race of people jammed together in a city. The chances of you randomly spotting an old friend from 10 years ago is not easy.
Yeah. Although, my uncle loves to tell the story of the time that we were in New York City and we got on the Staten Island ferry and my friend Angela who lived in New York City, was also on the Staten Island ferry at the same time that we were.
Angela stands out in a crowd.
She did not have gray hair at the time.
I take back my statement. Glorious hair. So that was like, well, is that real? Because she it even kind of gave him, I think, a golden halo.
Yeah.
She spotted.
I mean, he was really there.
I know, but it was like a video game. Here is your target. Here's the arrow. We're pointing right here. Here's your golden hue. Oh, look at that! Go chase him down. It's like, but those things are real in this show. I was a bit confused.
Good question.
Yeah.
Something else we also do in our podcast is we like to count funny things. And we had a list of them already from Once Upon a Time, but we're going to add them as we go here. And one that we get several times in this episode and we'll continue to get is West Covina. It's 2 hours from the beach. Foreign traffic. Josh tells Rebecca that.
Also, I feel like this is when we get the awkward part of our interaction, where she apparently is very awkward around Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets like flustered by him.
Yes, that's a good word. She's very flustered. But like they definitely ham it up. Like she's like doing the bad laugh, and then that's so weird, and you're like, oh, this is
so weird, right?
So weird, right? Yeah.
And then she goes back to the office. They call her in to offer her the junior partner position, and she says no.
Well, he tells her that he's moving back.
That's true. I'm sorry.
To Los Angeles, West Covina, and then at that point she decides, I think, that she's going to move.
Yeah, because I think the while much of this season we will be debating about whether Rebecca moved here for Josh, I think the real kicker for her in the conversation was Kicker for her in the conversation was people are just happy there. Which
I tend to agree with you, if not for the very overt, I'm in love, and then I see some word blocked out with just Josh's own. I'm like, huh.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of, like, tied-inness here about, like, the last time I was happy was when I was with Josh. Yeah. I want to be with Josh.
I am chasing a memory from 10 years ago, and I'm hoping that West Covina will be that, like chasing the dragon, essentially.
Yeah. And then she goes back into the office. They offer her the job. She says no. And she has decided to move at this point. She tells them where she's going. And then she says, it's where dreams live.
Yeah, here she kind of goes crazy. She has a little speech about time, where she talks about how, like, time is not infinite and how it determines where you're going. And you're like, oh, at that point I thought she was having a mental breakdown. Because the speech was weird. Yeah. It wasn't... Like, no one would actually exit an interview like that. You would say, like, yeah, I decided to take another offer. I'm out of here. See you later. Like, you wouldn't be going on this rant about time.
Yeah. Although, it's funny, because then we cut to the song, West Covina, and, like, the song is a series of, like, rhyming gags, one of which is, like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. Mm-hmm. It's actually a series of rhyming and visual gags.
Yes.
Which I really like. Like, at the beginning, there's, like, the Joe's fish behind her. She steps forward, and then she's blocking out, so it just says Josh.
Mm-hmm. This is also when they take the opportunity to move her. So she moves in process of the song.
Yes, she moves during the song.
Did she have no friends?
In New York? I don't know. That's a good question. She seemed, like, friendly with her coworker, but, like, I don't know if she had real friends.
Yeah, like, it doesn't seem like it was important enough to show us that she had to say goodbye. Like, when I moved, I said goodbye to my friends.
It seems like she didn't even say goodbye to her mom. Like, she told her she was moving, but... I
don't think her mom was in the same state. I think they just have phone calls.
I do not think that is true.
I mean, you know the show better than I, but, like, based on their relationship, they seem like a person to person.
She is a Jewish lady.
Sure.
In New York City. She lives in Westchester County.
So speaking of stereotypical things we say about Jewish people, now we move to Chief.
Yeah, I completely agree, Roger. I think this is, like, a fascinating... Oh, actually, sorry, before we get to White Feather and Associates, she actually gets a voicemail from her mother that she's listening to at her new apartment.
Oh.
And her mom asked her if this is like that little suicide attempt she did in college. And then she says, you didn't even break your skin and you inconvenienced a lot of people.
My note was, and I quote, oh, so mom comes from the Cora School of Parenting.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's a good description.
Is the mom a bad person?
Also a flawed person.
Curious.
But very overbearing mother, for sure.
Sure, but, like, there's overbearing, there's flawed, there's you tried to kill yourself and inconvenience a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not a parent, but I have to admit that I feel like if someone related to me had that, I wouldn't minimize it by saying you inconvenienced me by trying to take your own life. That sounds like the actions of a bad person by saying that. Gonna be honest with you. We shall see. Also, you didn't even break skin. Are you mad that she was unsuccessful? You sound you actually sound disappointed that she wasn't successful in getting the job done here.
I know. Okay, now we can move to White Feather and Associates. I also love that he doesn't even buy real native art that's produced by native people. Mm-mm. He bought fake white shaman art from a swap meet.
Which actually makes sense, because that's literally who he is.
Yeah.
He is every uncomfortable white boy trying to fit in with a culture that he's not familiar with. Like, if you've ever seen Get Out, I would have totally voted for Obama a third time. Like, stop trying so hard. Just, you're not invited to the cookout. Let it go.
Yeah.
But, like, some of the things that he says. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were Jewish because your nose is so small. You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
I think. I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. He owns the law firm. He is White Feather.
He is... I am White Feather.
And Paula, we meet Paula.
Yes.
She's a paralegal, I believe.
Yeah, she's surprisingly hostile immediately, and I'm not sure why. That wasn't clear to me. Maybe I missed it.
I mean, I think what we're seeing here is there's some different types of crazy going on. Paula, also a stalker. Clearly.
Yeah.
And she just, gets a vibe from Rebecca. I think she's annoyed that Rebecca is, fancy New York lady with her fancy shoes. She's too good for us. Especially because Rebecca started the conversation by thinking that Paula was her assistant. So I think it kind of, triggered her there. And then
she was already mad about her resume.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think she just is I think that, this doesn't make sense. Because it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Was she
maybe
jealous?
LA, but, West Covina? No.
Because when she brought up, the 15 years, been a paralegal, went to night school, was she mad that she didn't get the position that Rebecca got?
Well, she couldn't have gotten that position because she doesn't have a law degree.
You're right. That's what a sane person would do. I don't disagree with you. But since we are dealing with multiple types of crazy here...
But she also might be generally frustrated. I've been working so hard, and, you have all this shit, and
you
I have
swoop
nothing.
in and get everything you ever wanted. No, we've got our crazy has met another crazy.
Yes.
And then, though, I can't remember the woman's name, but she apparently has a death grip of a handshake.
Oh, Mrs. Hernandez, who is the communications director who did not speak one single line in this episode.
I was going to say, does she not speak English? Because that's amazing if she's the communications director but doesn't actually speak English.
It also seems surprising to me that a law firm of that size would have a communications director.
Correct.
a real estate law firm.
Correct.
Yeah. I also really liked when Daryl was describing, he was trying to pretend like he's worldly and knows the New York pizza place. And he's the one with the D.
He had never been to New York in his life.
And then he's essentially describing pizza to Rebecca, and then she goes, right, that's pizza.
Well, it's got the pizza with the crust, and he folded over, and it's got the cheese and the salt. He clearly was every guy who's pretending to have gone to a place that they've never been to. Yeah. It'd be like if you try to describe, the Super Bowl. It's the place where they have the field with the ball, where they throw the thing from the one end. Yep, that's literally every football game you've ever been to.
It's a football game, yeah.
Yep.
And then we transition to Home Base, which is one of our other sitcom locations, if this were a sitcom. Which is a sports bar that is also a children's ball field.
Otherwise known as hell.
And we meet Greg.
Greg is interesting.
Yeah, I like Greg a lot. Greg is also a pretty famous theater actor. We do not hear him sing in this episode, but he's got some chops. He's Hans in Frozen. And he also won a Tony for playing Tootsie in the revival a couple years ago.
Huh, okay. So you're saying he's talented.
He's very talented.
He's a pawn here. Clearly he's a pawn. And doesn't seem to realize it quickly, strangely enough.
I also don't really know what year it is that Josh is checking in at Home Base on what app and...
Oh, that was a thing.
In 2000... Yeah. This is 2015?
Yeah, that was a thing.
All right.
Remember we used to check in
on
football
Foursquare?
Game? Foursquare, yeah.
All right.
That was absolutely that time frame for that.
Well, Rebecca has all the apps to track where Josh Chan is.
Clearly.
Greg seems... I like that Greg is a bit harsher than the rest of the humans that we meet.
Yes.
He is not a sunny Californiite. Californian.
You'll get there.
When he says, we're 4 hours from the beach, people say 2, but those people are dumb.
I like Greg.
I like Greg, too.
I like Greg.
Or, you're pretty and you're smart and you're ignoring me, so you're obviously my type.
Little self-deprecating. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my only criticism is that, like, buddy, it was blatantly obvious that she's into Josh.
Oh, I think that he clearly knows that, and he's into that kind of thing. He wants to be ignored. But not quite as bad as it gets at the party.
Yeah. Yep.
I also liked when he says, this guy Beans, he's Mexican. It sounds racist, but he makes us call him that. We don't want to call him that.
Excellent qualifier there.
Yeah. But he asked Rebecca out to the party that Josh is going to be at tomorrow.
Which I don't think she caught immediately. Like, I think she says, oh, so you're going to come to me with a car? And he goes, like, yeah, like a date.
And then we cut to our second song of the evening, the sexy getting ready song.
That was fucking hilarious. That was funny. That was legit funny. That was also, I think at one point they did something, and then I just heard the phrase, ass blood.
Oh, did you not see it?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So I both saw it, but I wasn't sure where that had come from. And I was like, oh, why is she bleeding? And then I literally heard the phrase, ass blood. And then I was like, oh, no, that's not okay.
As we learn from
Nipsey
Hussle, this is horrifying, like a scary movie or something. You know what? I got to apologize to some bitches. I'm forever changed by what I just seen.
I almost pulled out my phone and like, if you've ever done this for me, I'm sorry. Don't do this. I love you the way you are. Don't make your ass bleed for me.
I also loved the cut to what men do when they get ready, and Greg is just sleeping on the couch.
That's exactly how I get ready. Like, look, this right here, this is me crimping. That's the extent of it.
Roger is running a comb through his hair.
Correct.
A pick, sorry.
A pick.
Pick.
Yeah. And if my hair's short, we skip that step and we just get dressed.
And then they make it to the party. Rebecca looks banging in a pink dress.
Just about to ask, what color's that dress?
It's pink.
That's the same color as Emma's dress.
It's not.
Hey, both episodes started with our main character in a pink dress.
They did.
She admitted it. She said they were both in a pink dress.
Oh my god, you cheater.
Oh, and then, gosh, things go down.
Things go really bad. I think Greg is really conflicted because he's like, she's so hot and I'm so into her and she wants to make out, but she doesn't really.
I have to admit, I started thinking about, like, okay, so what do you do in this scenario? Because, like, on the one hand, have some pride and some self-respect to not let her do this to you. On the other hand, she looks pretty good in that dress. So, like, how much are you willing to tolerate here? There's a hot crazy scale. And we're testing this theory right now.
Yeah.
But then at a certain point, it got uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, because I feel like you asked, is Greg a bad person?
Yeah.
I don't, like, I mean, he reaches a point where he's like, this is not okay.
I didn't say Greg is a bad person. I asked if Greg is a nice guy.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Greg is a nice guy.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because that term is used two different ways. There's genuine nice guy.
I don't think he's either of those things.
And then so she initiates the physical contact in a way that wasn't necessary.
Oh, no. She does it because she realizes that she can't keep looking for Josh if they're talking. So if they're making out, they're not talking, and his eyes will be closed.
Yep.
And then she keeps coming up with excuses about why they have to move.
So I ask again, is Rebecca a bad person?
She's certainly playing the part of a bad person right now.
She's playing a villain right now.
Yeah.
Suffice to say.
And then Rebecca starts crying when she finds out that Josh has a girlfriend that he moved back here for.
I mean, who would move across the country for someone? That's ridiculous.
And Greg is like, crying while making out is too much for me. We're not hooking up with that. He offers to drive her home, and then they run into Paula.
That was actually quite the funny twist.
Yeah, well, first we see Paula. She broke into Rebecca's computer at the office.
I mean, by broke in, she guessed her password that looked to be like 4 characters.
Sure. And she learned some stuff about her, including where she was going to be tonight.
More importantly, you checked his Facebook 63 times and his Instagram 18 times. Bitch, you crazy. 81. I don't check anything 81 times in a day.
Right. And I also love the juxtaposition of, like, yeah, Rebecca's crazy. And Paula, like, is doing all of this for a person that she doesn't know for no reason at all.
Because she's nosy.
Yeah, she's very nosy.
Yeah.
I also loved when she saw Greg and she says, "You have Italian, I can always tell."
Yep. I was just like, I don't actually know what that means, and I don't want to.
I also feel like the best, like, encapsulation of Paula's character. You want to drive by his house, Rebecca. You know where he lives? This is going to be so much fun.
Yep.
And then we get a reprise of West Covina, and they sing together.
Yep.
And Rebecca realizes that... Because while I agree, Rebecca moved here for Josh, Rebecca didn't realize that she moved here for Josh until that moment.
Which is insane.
And that she might be in love with Josh is
Which
also...
is also insane.
Also another thing. And she doesn't know Josh.
Correct.
Yeah.
She moved across the country, forfeited a job that would give her $500,000 for a guy that has a girlfriend who broke up with her 10 years ago who doesn't really know she exists.
Yep. And that's it. That's the episode. Alright, so each episode we're kind of going to go through a list of things. First one is favorite moment.
Oh, that's easy.
I have 3.
Oh, I mean, I have one moment that was my favorite more than all the other ones. I apologize for dropping you in a gold bikini and making you dance on my Bentley. I realized that was disrespectful. You can back that ass up. I'm like, I was rolling. The whole Nipsey Hussle apologized. And then the best part was bitches to apologize to. He's like literally trying to be respectful, but all he says is bitches to apologize to. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that is also one of mine. I called it the coda. Because it's kind of like a tag on the end of the episode. I feel like it is it shows what this show does that other shows don't. They made a joke during the song, and then they followed through with the joke. And you were not expecting that to happen.
Not at all. Definitely thought that was a one-off with Nipsey Hussle. Cool, doesn't have to see him, never seen him again. And they leaned into it. Like, they went for it, and I was like, that's good. That's funny.
It was really good. My other 2 are Paula and Rebecca when they connect in the song. Rebecca seems really surprised when Paula starts singing with her. And you know that these 2 are going to get into some shenanigans. Cuckoo! But my ultimate favorite moment when Rebecca and Greg are making out and Rebecca is like looking around for Josh and Greg pulls away at one point and she's still like using her tongue, like she's air making out. It was amazing. I loved it so much.
I guarantee Greg did not.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Okay. Other favorites. We'll go through favorite song, favorite line, if you have them. My favorite song is the Sexy Getting Ready song.
Same. That was funny.
Best line is definitely ass blood.
I don't know if that was my favorite line. It definitely startled me the most. That song was hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly care for West Covina, but that's not really my genre of music. I just thought the other one was fucking
There
hilarious.
are also really funny parts of that song, though. Like the middle school kids program, like it's on the thing. Or I love when she like says something to the guy, and then he says, "I don't speak English," and then she repeats it in Spanish.
Yeah, or when they take away the middle school band, like in the middle, like sorry, you can't practice. Like that's jacked up. Yeah, no, I think that was the best song for sure.
Most ridiculous moment. And this can be a ridiculous thing a character does, weird like production issues, or sometimes we'll go with like a very like soap opera style moment.
Or, yeah, CGI moment.
Yeah.
I only have one.
I only have one as well.
The premise.
The premise!
It is ridiculous that this high-powered lawyer saw a sign, maybe, that pointed her towards her ex-boyfriend from 10 years ago, ran into him, decided to uproot herself, moved to not Los Angeles, West Covina, California, and was hoping to get back together with him.
Yeah.
This is a learned person.
Mm-hmm. She went to Harvard and Yale.
And Yale. Okay.
I have the making out with Greg scene.
The air making out with Greg?
It is a ridiculous character choice. It is ridiculous that Greg went along with it. It's ridiculous.
Explain something to you about men.
Yep, I gotcha. Leading into that, my loser of this episode is Greg.
I have two losers. One is Greg.
Especially, he's gonna drive Rebecca home. He meets Paula. She sexually objectifies him. And then he just disappears.
Oh, was she hitting on him?
She definitely has a thing for men who are half Italian.
It didn't feel that way.
I mean, I don't know if she was directly hitting on him, but she was certainly objectifying him.
I may be used to the Cruella method of, objectifying men. Hold up! Stand back! Like, where she's, all over the top. Rebecca.
I almost chose Rebecca, and then I didn't because I think she and Paula are gonna have some fun figuring out a way to get Josh Chan.
Sure. However, you moved across the country for a guy who actually already has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who might have been dating that girl while y'all were in high school.
Yeah.
This feels like a loss.
It does. And winner?
Paula.
I also have Paula.
100%.
She got exactly what she wanted in this episode. She went like full rabbit hole. She figured it out, and now she has it seems like she wants a project. Like she has a project.
Yeah, I think she's just up for some crazy shenanigans.
Yeah.
No, I think Paula's a clear winner on this one.
So next time, I don't have the name of the episode. I don't know the names of the episodes like I do for...
Well, you haven't seen it 8 times.
Yeah, and they don't say them in the same way.
That's true. They don't really say the names.
All right. It is called Josh's Girlfriend is Really Cool.
How many of these titles are going to have Josh in it?
Every single episode in season 1 has Josh's name in it.
Oh. All right.
Well,
that's good to know.
Yeah. That is not true in later seasons.
That's also good to know. This is... I see why you like this show.
Yeah.
It's very you. It's very Lifetime with, musical and satire.
Yeah. But also, a broad spectrum of people like this show. Jesse likes this show. Our friend Jesse.
I like that you think that's a broad spectrum, but continue.
Some of my other friends, who I guess are the same as me, like the show, too. Okay, fine. It's the Venn diagram is a circle.
There's nothing wrong with that. Just, I would say I'm the outsider in your group of people who like the show. Y'all are here on sports analogies.
I gotcha. Well, we're currently at 2 hours from the beach, 4 in traffic, just in this one episode.
Is this a Magic Bean thing where it adds up the more we go, or is it like a day's ride where we get it a little bit and then it just kind of falls off a cliff?
I don't know. I haven't watched the show enough times to know the answer to that. They definitely reference it again, but I don't know how many times.
I feel like we could play a drinking game about how many times they reference Josh, and would we die?
Yeah. I think we would die.
Okay.
I think we would die. Well, please be sure to join us next time when we watch the next episode that I already forgot the name of. Josh's Girlfriend is Really Cool.
And we will see you next time.